What do you do when a woman who used to go by Mrs. Blacklove decides to drag her own man in front of millions of people on Instagram Live and then has the gall to laugh about it? Oh, you thought the Remy Ma Papoose Clarissa triangle was over, but it wasn't because Remy humiliated Papoose with a slick comment about his performance. And just hours later, Claressa's shield broke. And by broken, we mean that she swung first and asked questions. Eyewitnesses say it wasn't just words, though, because Clarissa showed up to Remy's set without warning, without any security or makeup. It's just pure rage and the message that you don't deserve a man like him, and the whole thing we're asking the real questions now. Did Papoose just sit back and watch two queens fight for his heart? Welcome to Gossip Spill Vibe, where the truth has lashes, heels, and a left hook. Because this story didn't start with a slap, a scream, or a security guard shouting, "Cut the live." No, this story has been simmering for a while. This wasn't your average shade. How does Remy thank him? By clowning him on Instagram Live. This wasn't your average shade because he didn't leave the toilet seat up or forget my birthday drama. No, this was a calculated, slick surgical procedure. Remy Ma, the rap queen, Bronx royalty wife, and allegedly still wife to Papoose, the same Papoose who held her down through prison scandals and a dozen bet ciphers. Some men think loyalty is enough, Remy said, sitting in her glam chair surrounded by her team wearing lashes. As her stylist choked on her drink, the comments section exploded. And Papoose, let's say if silence had a face, was on his next Instagram story. But wait, that wasn't even the punchline, because when one follower asked her bluntly, "Are you talking about Papoose?" Remy smirked, held her fingers up barely an inch apart, and whispered, "If you know, you know." The room fell silent, and fans were gasping and remixing the clip and zooming in as if it were an FBI investigation, and guess who wasn't amused? Claressa Shields, the self-proclaimed GWAT Olympic gold medalist and Papoose's biggest supporter. Some might even say more than just a supporter. Now, let's break down why this live hit so hard. Because Remy Ma didn't just throw shade. She humiliated Papoose. You see, their relationship was based on the idea of a man waiting for his woman to return from prison, standing by her no matter what, and riding for her career when the labels stopped calling it. Remy's appearances at family events became irregular, and she was more frequently spotted with Easy the Block Captain than her husband. At the same time that Papoose was hyping their daughter on Father's Day and hosting birthday parties for her, Remy was showing up in studios with 50 Cent, posting cryptic stories and liking suspicious tweets. Then came the rumors that Papoose was getting close to a certain female boxer. At first, people laughed it off as being like Serena Williams and a chess player. But when paparazzi caught them holding hands outside a Brooklyn juice bar, things didn't go as planned. Papoose didn't deny it, and Remy pretended nothing had happened until this live. This is because the moment she made that small remark, it wasn't just disrespectful. It was strategic humiliation. A woman like Remy knows the power of words, so she decided to broadcast his shortcomings to millions of people. Now, buckle up. Claressa Shields was reportedly at her Miami gym when she saw the video. According to one of her teammates, she paused mid-sparring, took off her gloves, and said she wants to play dirty. Bet. Within 6 hours, Clarissa had booked a flight to New York City, but here's what happened next. The worst part is that she didn't just call Remy, tweet, or go live. Instead, she showed up in person at a set where Remy was filming a podcast interview. There was no entourage, just her, a hoodie, and hands, ready for more than boxing. My audio was hot, and what happened next is what you'll see splashed across every shady blog and gossip page over the course of the next 48 hours. But before we get to the full-on confrontation, let's talk about why Clarissa would risk everything: her reputation, her sponsorships, and her public image. Because for months, people close to her have been speculating about why she and Papoose are more than simply pals. They had been establishing a quiet meal and making 3 a.m. phone calls. The internet was already buzzing about Papoose as the new power couple, and now it looks like Clarissa is ready to fight for her man. So when she heard that disrespect live, something inside of her snapped, and it all came to a head when she walked into that podcast studio, provided emotional support when Remy was out doing whatever she wanted to do with battle rappers and club promoters. She saw something in him that Remy forgot. One anonymous source told us that she believes Remy lost the plot. Looked Remy Ma in the eye and said, "You don't deserve a man like him." Then the producer gasped, "Are we live?" Remy stood up as if she was about to fight, but Clarissa didn't flinch. Instead, she moved closer, her eyes locked, her voice low and dangerous. "You broke him now. You clown him. Nah, that's not love. That's ego. And I'm not letting you humiliate him one more time." And that's when security tried to intervene. The energy in that studio changed. A leaked recording from a crew member shows that Clarissa leaned in and said, "You parade around like loyalty is a leash." Do you ever ask yourself what he needs? Deliberate. This smirk was gone. The sass was replaced with something colder. Something calculated. Producers froze. One mic tech dove for the kill switch, but they were too late. The cameras had already caught what happened next. Let's be clear, this wasn't just about Papoose. This was about pride, reputation, and decades of dominance from two women who don't back down. And Remy, with all the Bronx heat, fired back. "Don't preach to me about love." Claressa versus Remy. You're a rebound with a mean right hook that doesn't make you wife material. Security attempted to defuse the situation. But let's just say that when one of the world's best fighters squares off against a rapper who did time, nobody steps in without risk pay. Remy grabbed her purse like it was loaded, and Clarissa pulled her ponytail back like it was game time. The electric explosive and the internet baby. It blew up within 30 minutes. An anonymous assistant leaked the footage to a Twitter page that breaks messy celebrity exclusives. And from there, TikTok Twitter reactions, TikTok edits, Instagram breakdowns, and YouTube reactions were all over the timeline. One of the most popular tweets was, "Remy really said he's loyal but short, and Clarissa showed up like a final boss. This isn't a love triangle. Celebrity Deathmatch, Bronx Edition." Another went viral when Remy humiliated Pap live, and Clarissa flew across the country to defend him, who was really down for him. Course, Fat Joe added cryptically, tweeting, "Respect isn't something you borrow, something you return." Clarissa's anger was triggered by a hairstylist who allegedly overheard her venting backstage at a Miami shoot. According to our sources, Clarissa had been hearing from mutuals that Remy had been making fun of Papoose behind closed doors for months, with jokes like, "Pap's out here writing poetry while I'm running the game. He's the type to cry when the Uber's late. Pretty sure." But when you've been holding your man down, building something new, and seeing him get publicly clowned by his own wife, it hits different, especially when your name starts getting dragged into the mess. A close friend of Clarissa, who asked to remain anonymous, told us that Clarissa saw the live through her protein shake and said, "No, she's not doing this to him again." She felt offended and thought Remy was disparaging everything Pap had done to remain faithful and, consequently, making fun of her for taking charge and taking care of him. That flight to New York City was an emotional journey, and thank God this studio confrontation didn't escalate into a physical altercation. However, as the cameras were still rolling, Clarissa said one more thing that sent the blogs into a tailspin. "If you're not woman enough to love him, step aside." I'm not asking twice. Who posted the clip? Can you guess who posted it first? Tasha K? Yes, within hours, the exclusive water marked the clip and everything. Then the footage began to spread like wildfire, and fans were divided. Some were adamantly supporting Remy and Clarissa, acting like Papoose is a prize girl and that you're doing too much, while others were willing to risk everything for her. Clarissa flew across the country to defend that man that Remy loved, forgetting what she had, and then there were the conspiracy theorists, who claimed that Remy had planned the entire story to test Clarissa's loyalty and push Papoose back into her arms by igniting jealousy, which may be crazy, but this is the internet, and Remy has pulled some crazy stunts before. For example, when she faked that pregnancy promo in 2022 to launch her mixtape. Fans still haven't forgiven her. But let's not pretend that Clarissa's hands are clean. Last week, paparazzi caught her leaving a fancy steakhouse with a mysterious music executive who was known to have dated Remy years ago, not with Papoose. The blogs were quiet at the time, but now it's fuel for the fire. Some fans believe Clarissa is using this drama to increase her visibility before her upcoming fight. One boxing analyst even wrote, "This isn't just a love story. It's brand building. It's brand building." Said she chose differently, and that was it. There were no punches, just silence, not because there wasn't anger, but because the real battle had already been lost, and Papoose realized that he wasn't just outnumbered but also replaced. Several Chrome 23 employees quit the following week, with no explanations or statements. It's just a series of abrupt departures that industry insiders are referring to as the silent breakdown of a power structure that once supported Rhee's success. This is where things take a darker turn, according to leaked internal documents purportedly sent by a disgruntled former Chrome 23 employee. There are significant financial discrepancies in the league's books, missing payouts, duplicate invoices, and budget approvals with no trail. And the pattern appears to have started shortly after Easy, the block captain, was brought on as captain. Overnight, the side began to distance themselves. Some claim it was due to loyalty, while others claim it was out of fear of being implicated in what was about to happen. A full-time talent consultant. No one is claiming that he is directly accountable, but what is concerning is how quickly some decisions were made after he joined the equation. According to one whistleblower going by the alias C23 Insider, more than $300,000 in league sponsorship funds were transferred into a private company, and new hires were approved without background checks, and production costs tripled for some events without receipts. Although there isn't any concrete evidence yet, if the promotional fund managed off books is linked to a limited liability company owned by someone with the initials EBC, it indicates that this isn't just about infidelity, but also about money, power, and possibly fraud. And guess who was allegedly barred from the financial meetings for months prior to this Papoose? He wasn't just being emotionally excluded. He was being legally excluded in a covert manner. Strategic sources claim that he privately voiced his concerns to Remy and was advised to have faith in some legal experts speaking off the record. Have conjectured that if these financial shifts are real and traceable, it could expose Remy Ma to serious investigation for misuse of sponsorship dollars, fraudulent reporting to partners, improper allocation of funds tied to media and merchandise deals, and corporate malpractice. However, by the time he realized what was happening, the paper trail was already too faint to follow, and the new leadership structure was already locked in. Unfazed has doubled down since the livestream, with no retractions or apologies, just cryptic posts about clarity, freedom, and standing in your truth. She has been pictured at private dinners with Easy, and they are moving like a couple who have already survived the backlash. The strategy is clear. Don't defend the move yourself. Instead, reframe the chaos as control and make the betrayal look like liberation. At least some of her younger fans, particularly those who are aware of battle rap culture, are calling Rhee's move bold. The rest of the culture isn't so forgiving. Older fans, hip-hop historians, and women who supported Remy throughout her comeback aren't just disappointed. They feel deceived and betrayed, and they're not keeping quiet. Instagram comment sections have become virtual battlegrounds, with some fans calling for boycotts and others applauding Remy for choosing passion over duty. They're strengthening the kind of self-actualization men have gotten away with for decades, demanding answers regarding the whereabouts of their money, Okay, particularly those who invested in Chrome 23 merchandise pay-per-view events or Patreon-style supporter platforms that are currently being questioned for transparency. Remy keeps posting, as if nothing happened, but Papoose is eerily silent, and silence is beginning to turn from dignity to suspicion. What is he waiting for? Why hasn't he spoken up? If half of what we've discovered is true, he might be planning something much larger than a quiet social media clapback. According to sources, Papoose has been gathering evidence, communications, financial records, voicemail backups, and possibly even non-disclosure agreements on Diaz that were violated. Rumor has it that he is meeting with lawyers, business attorneys, contract specialists, brand protection experts, and people who deal with lawsuits rather than emotions. The theory is that he still has partial ownership over Chrome 23, at least on paper. And if those rights were taken away or diluted without proper consent, this story is ending in courtrooms. A former producer who worked on early Chrome 23 events reached out anonymously and said that this was always going to happen because Ray has been building an empire but didn't want to share the throne. Papoose will finally speak with Remy about the process of Quasar's alleged affair and rebranding push, because if easy, Quasar was hired during this transition, and it turns out that there was already a romantic relationship. That's a conflict of interest that could unravel everything. Crack under pressure. Will Chrome 23 withstand a thorough audit? Or will all three of them simply move on while the rest of us continue to argue over who is right and who is just louder? Here's what you can do right now if you're sick of fake empowerment masquerading as genuine betrayal. Share this video with others if you think more people need to see past the headlines. And don't forget to subscribe because, believe me, isn't not by a long shot. The next chapter is already being written, and you'll want to be the first to hear it when it comes out. So, now that we've pulled out the receipts, held them up to the light, and watched the whole fairy tale burn, let's talk. Are we truly calling this growth? Or did Remy Ma just press the eject button on loyalty and call it elevation? Is Papoose a victim? Or is he just another man who believed that keeping it down would easily lead to a happy ending? Is a masterclass in how to burn everything and smile for the camera? So tell me in the comments if you're Team Remy, Team Pap, or Team Yesh. Additionally, if you're sick of influencers portraying treachery as bravery, hit the like button while you're down there. This wasn't just a breakup, though. It was a rebrand, a calculated, emotionless chess move that left the king knocked off the board and the world watching like it was pay-per-view. Believes that there is true love in the music industry, and of course, subscribes, because this was only the beginning of the chaos. As you are already aware, we are watching court filings, cryptic posts, quiet unfollows, and the next level of mess that is undoubtedly coming. And when it does, we will be the first to voice what everyone else is whispering, that this wasn't love, but war, and we're not done exposing it.